Divam Divyatana Suchandavadanam Balarkachelanchitam Sandrananda Buddham Sadekam Badanam Vairagya Vidyam Buddhim Sri Siddhantanidim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanambaram Vanditam Subhadam Madeka Sharanam Yashishwaram Sridharam Srila Bhakti Swami Maharaj ki jai, Sri Caitanya Saraswat Math ki jai, Sri Navadvipa Parikrama ki jai, Lord Premanand Hari. So, finally we are here. I was suffering so much, so many days without coming here, going around Navadvip, beautiful, but many of us were longing to be finally here. Some longing was required to get to this place, which for me and many of us I know is one of those many hubs around which our lives revolve, basically. It's another birthplace, right? We went to the Yoga Pith, the birthplace of Mahaprabhu, so many other birthplaces, and for many of us this is a birthplace for our own devotional life, our own devotional inspiration. This is the Vajan Kutra of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. His Samadhi Mandir, as we saw, and the place where so much came. So much inspiration, so much shelter, so much harmony, so much hope, so much relief, so much. And still it's happening, right? It's like when an atomic bomb explodes, the layers of radiation continue to happen there decades and decades after. So there was some form of Big Bang here happening decades ago. So still the waves of
Aftershock.
Divine radiation are happening.
Aftershock.
Yeah. So here we are in an island here called Koladwip, one of the 9 islands of Navadvip. Koladwip, Kola means boar, which is related to Varahadev. It is said that Varahadev performed his famous pastime narrated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, defeating Hiranyaksha, actually here. Bhakti Nandan reveals that. So because of that, this island is called Koladwip. And there is a famous story of a devotee Brahman called Vasudev worshipping Varahadev many eons ago. And at one point he worshipped Varahadev with so much love that Varahadev showed his form of Gauranga and said, "See you in Kali Yuga." Right? And Varahadev manifested as Sriman Mahaprabhu, and Vasudev took a corresponding identity to join Mahaprabhu in his Leela. As Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj was saying yesterday, also name for this area is Aparad Bhanchan Pat, or the place where Aparad is utterly forgiven. All shortcomings, everything is forgiven, understood, integrated. Here Mahaprabhu forgave a person called Gopal Chapal who had blasphemed Srivas Pandit. Imagine blaspheming Srivas Pandit, serious stuff. But he was forgiven by Mahaprabhu eventually. He repented properly. Devananda Pandit, another Pandit who in his own way also, he was speaking Bhagavatam and Srivas Pandit was in the audience crying and uncontrollably because of ecstasy. And Devananda Pandit said, "Take him out of the class. He's making too much noise." While he was showing the fruit of the Bhagavatam. Right? So another aparat to Srivas Pandit, eventually Devananda Pandit received forgiveness and redemption and prem from Mahaprabhu here. So because of these cases and many others, this is a place called Aparad Bhanjan Pat. And somehow Srila Sridhar Maharaj, in his unique humility, one of the many qualities that adorned him, he felt drawn to come here because he felt, okay, I need so much forgiveness. Right? That's a symptom of a most advanced person. I need so much grace, so much forgiveness. This is my place. As Tirtha Maharaj was saying yesterday, many of his god brothers, some of them were in Vrindavan. He said, "No, I'm going to Navadvip." But most of his god brothers were in Mayapur. But Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, I want to go to Koladwip because that's Aparad Bhanjan Pat, a place where all can be forgiven, all can be harmonized. And not only he received that, I won't say he received that in the sense that he didn't needed to be forgiven for something he did. He was a pure devotee. But in his humility, he came here and he was able to embody that spirit of aparat bancham pat and forgiving, harmonizing, integrating, giving hope and relief to so many. So he himself was an embodiment of the essence of Koladwip, aparat bancham pat. I've heard so many conversations that Srila Sridhar Maharaj had with many devotees who all came to him with so much guilt, with so much toxic shame, with so much I'm doing this. And Srila Maharaj was always so soothing, like the rays of the moon, receiving them generously, hosting them. He took it. And giving hope, and giving new light. Many devotees who were in faith crisis, many disciples of Bhakti Nandan Swami Maharaja, Srila Prabhupada, who were disrogged after the disappearance of their guru, and coming to Srila Sridhar Maharaj for shelter and for what to do with my life now. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj given new purpose and new connection and new revelation of who Srila Prabhupada was. To some of you who are here, disciples of Srila Prabhupada, I've heard from you that was the case. So this is the place how Srila Sridhar Maharaj came here. It's a very beautiful story, as you may know. He wanted to establish himself in this area, and he thought, as Tirtha Maharaj said yesterday, he said, I will ask permission from Nityananda Prabhu. Mahaprabhu is known as Dhameshwar. We were yesterday in Dhameshwar, but also we heard yesterday, in its own way, Nityananda Prabhu is also Dhameshwar. So you need to get permission, entry visa from the boss. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj went to Ekachakra, the birthplace of Nityananda Prabhu. He wanted to establish himself here and really be retired from the world and be absorbed in bhajan. He has a very introspective, introverted nature, though he as a sannyasi travel and preach and open different mats at some time. But in his Antyalila, in his last years, he was more drawn to inner deep bhajan. So he was not into, I want followers. Many devotees will say, Srila Sridhar Maharaj was born without pratishtha. Imagine. I'm praying to die with one layer less of pratishtha. He was born without it. And I'm sure many can bear witness to that. Those who... He had no interest in position, name, fame. He had interest in the real interest, in the real wealth. He had a taste for that. So he wanted to immerse himself in that. He was not thinking, I will make a mat to have disciples and followers and expand, just inner further expansion. So he went to Ekchakra to pray to Nityananda Prabhu for his grace and his admission into Sri Navadvip, Koladwip, Aparat Banjan Path. So in that prayer, Srila Sridhar Maharaj was asking, Jai Nitai, please, Dayal Nitai, give me grace. Now if you hear the kathas of Srila Sridhar Maharaj many times, he will just very naturally in the midst of whatever he's saying start to get lost and found saying Dayal Nitai, Dayal Nitai, Dayal Nitai, Tai Gaur Hari, Tai Gaur, Jai Gaur Gada, Tai Gaur.
One time, 10 minutes.
10 minutes, yeah.
Dayal Nitai,
Yeah. They're audios, right?
Then it goes quiet. Dayal Nitai, Dayal Nitai.
Yeah. So he was praying to Nityananda Prabhu in that way, Dayal Nitai, give your grace to me. And he received this inner response from Nityananda, say, okay, you're asking for my mercy, but you are not willing to give your mercy to others. In the sense of, Srila Sridhar Maharaj was not interested in disciples for the right reasons. But Nityananda Prabhu was not chastising him, but just actually predicting many will come to you, and if you want my grace, you better extend my grace to them through you. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj made a deal with Nityananda Prabhu at that moment. They say, okay, if people come to me, I will give whatever they need. But I won't go and look for people. That's not my nature. But I'll be here, and whomever comes to me, I'll give whatever I have. And Nityananda Prabhu say, deal. They signed a contract in their heart, and then Srila Sridhar Maharaj moved to this area, and gradually, small Vajan Kutir here, and gradually what we know now as Sri Caitanya Saraswat Math, beautiful compound, Goshala, different buildings, was made. So, and eventually Nityananda Prabhu's words became truer and truer, because as you know, when Srila Prabhupada and Srila Sridhar Maharaj especially were very close friends. There is this beautiful book you can all read if you want to know about the sweet connection between Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada and Srila Sridhar Maharaj, called Our Affectionate Guardians. So it's basically a compilation of whatever Srila Sridhar Maharaj say about Prabhupada, whatever Prabhupada say about Srila Sridhar Maharaj. That gives you a glimpse of how much they loved each other. So at the end of his life, Srila Prabhupada was asked, so whenever you are no longer here, his disciples knew he's about to leave. So whom we shall go for Shiksha? He said, my god brother B.R. Sridhar Maharaj in Navadvipa. And that's when disciples from the West came and get to know about Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And that's where all this content that we know about Srila Sridhar Maharaj, all these books, actually all the books, most of the books from Srila Sridhar Maharaj come from his spontaneous sharing, mostly to disciples of Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, because before that, as I was talking the other day, I came here like 2 weeks ago, we were talking with Bhakti Nandan Swami Maharaj, and before that, Srila Sridhar Maharaj would mostly speak in Bengali, because that was his audience. He knew English, but his audience was in Bengali, and at that time, there were not even tape recording machines. That was the latest technology brought by the Westerners. Thank God. So you can see all these videos and pictures of Srila Sridhar Maharaj talking, and always some Western disciple with a tape recorder. And if you hear the original audios, every audio lasts like for 45 minutes all, because that's how long it lasts, side A, and then stop. And the second MP3 is side B of the original tape, right? So there are many of those. Whatever he was saying, those were always recording, put in the microphone. So whatever we know about Srila Sridhar Maharaj in terms of katha and sharing came from this place, as we say. Srila Sridhar Maharaj, at that time when Prabhupada disciples came and he started to share his heart and insights in English, he was more than 80 years. He almost was blind in one eye, totally blind in one eye, almost blind the other. He will just go down this room once, twice a year for Gaur Purnima, Janmashtami, Vyasa Puja, and then from the veranda to his room, back and forth. So much happened here. So much happened here. And he himself was, in his humility, very marveled at the new insights that will come to him through the sincere inquiries of the devotees who were coming to him with such a thirst and sincere hankering for the truth. I once heard Bhakti Sundar Govinda Maharaj say that. He will tell many of the disciples of Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada, say, I've been with Guru Maharaj for many decades hearing from him, and I know his katha on some level. I'm familiar, of course, with that. But from the time you have been coming, he's saying many things that he never spoke about before. He's taking the whole thing to another level. And that's because of the quality of your questions and the sincerity of your inquiry. That's inspiring him to bring new treasures. No? So that's a beautiful example of the importance also, not only of the speaker, but of the inquirer also. No? From which place we are coming, what we are bringing to the offering, and how that combines together. So this is the place where he lived. As I say, he was quite old at the time. But he will give time twice a day mostly. He was available in the veranda. Manjali spends some time here. Tapana Nandini, Vorcharam Prabhu. Would like to share some words about it regarding your experience in the veranda? I had 7 years old. I was playing football in Argentina at that time, so sorry. I was. What does this veranda mean to you, Gorchan?
This place here. What? 1983 out. a few short years later, I saw these photographs of Srila Prabhupada talking with Guru Maharaj. And the place where Srila Prabhupada used to sit was the place I took my Harinam. So this little bit of concrete here is my special place. I never knew I could fall in love with a piece of concrete. And there we are. And the last time I was with Guru Maharaj, he was sitting here in Tapat and I were receiving instruction from him. And as I was saying earlier this morning, we consolidated our relationship with Guru Maharaj by carrying deities to London to be installed to fulfill his desire to please Srila Sridhar. That absolutely consolidated our relationship. Before, I think he was sometimes pleased with me, sometimes disappointed. But I tried hard at service. But I was remembering I was begging in Calcutta for Guru Maharaj. Thank you. It's my little brother. And sometimes people would give money, sometimes they would give goods or vegetables or whatever. And this man was a leaf dealer. So where we take prasad in the evening with those little leaves all pinned together with thorns, he was a specialist in that. And I asked him for a donation. He said, I can give you leaf plates, thousands of them. And I thought, oh, Guru Maharaj will be pleased with that. You know. Anyway, a few days later, a lorry arrived full of these leaf plates. And Guru Maharaj was pleased with me. And then these leaf plates weren't made properly. There was a shortage of thorns. And when the devotees were eating with them, the dal was running all over the floor with them. And all the brahmacharis in the mat were complaining about me for being so stupid, you know. And that came up to Guru Maharaj. And shortly after that, we went back to banana leaves. So these are the kind of services that I did, you know. I weren't very practicable. And I always felt like Guru Maharaj was just about to give up on me, but I kept going. And I think a lot of us were like that. We were trying very hard, but we didn't know anything. We didn't know Vaishnava etiquette. We didn't understand a lot of the basics of life, really. But somehow or other we served him. And those days in Calcutta where he used to send me to go begging shop to shop, it really wasn't me, you know. It wasn't me to go and put myself in such a position. And we stayed in a little house near Govinda Maharaj's griya. And it was an awful place. It was so hot, and we had to sleep on the roof, and the smoke from the factories came, and you know, it was just, you couldn't breathe. But there we met disciples of Caitanya Saraswati, householder disciples used to come and visit there. And every morning at breakfast, it was one old man, looked like a skeleton, cataracts, very heavy cataracts. And he had to sit against the wall, and we had to help him up. But he came and took breakfast with us every morning, and he used to just cry. He said, Bhaktisiddhanta said, one day the Westerners will come here. He said, and now it's happening. And he couldn't believe it. But also on this veranda we met so many disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta. In particular Puri Maharaj, who was such a sweet, sweet man. And like Guru Maharaj, he didn't consider himself to be a great personality. And we all had interactions with him. And one day I was in Calcutta with Puri Maharaj, and he said, your Guru Maharaj, like Maharaj was saying, he didn't go out looking for disciples. He said he's like that very rare flower that's in the forest. and the bumblebees are coming from miles, attracted by the nectar of this flower. This is Sridhar Maharaj. He says he's my senior in age and experience, and he said you're so lucky to have such a Gurudev, and millions of blessings are falling on your head. And I was like a lump of jelly at that point. I just, what am I doing sitting here with millions of blessings? And I came out of the Gaudiya mat there. It's right by the tram station, and was nearly run over by a tram. I was in such a daydream from coming out of it. And Jiva Maharaj used to come here, and they always spoke in a very strong raised voice, and Guru Maharaj used to answer him in the same way. And we used to think, what's going on? The big argument, what's happening? And I spoke to the brahmachari. He says, no,
Bengali.
Just Bengali, shouting. Very sweet. And so many used to come and come to have his darshan, especially after the festival times. You see Shanta Maharaj and Damodar Maharaj.
Das Babaji Maharaj?
Yes. And Krishna-das Babaji Maharaj was... Guru Maharaj came to hear that he was in Hapanya, where Guru Maharaj was born. And he wanted to know what was he doing. He was kind of skulking around Hapanya and searching out Guru Maharaj's relatives who all lived there. And he came back, and then Krishna-das Babaji Maharaj came here. And he says, what are you doing? He's like thinking he was stalking him or something. What are you doing in my birthplace? He says, your birthplace is the worshipful place of worship. And for me to go there and to see the places where you used to walk, where you used to swim, the trees you used to climb, he said, for me that is a parikrama. And I think Guru Maharaj was embarrassed by that, that one of his godbrothers would think so highly of him. But they were very close and intimate also. And the way he spoke about Srila Prabhupada. I've been to a lot of Vyasa pujas.
Oh, Haribo.
I never heard how nicely anybody spoke about Srila Prabhupada, except for Srila Guru Maharaj. They were so intimate, 13, 14 years together, more or less in each other's company most of each day, going and preaching, bringing on Govinda Maharaj, who was a young teenager in those days. Not many people know that Govinda Maharaj was sent for Sanskrit tuition to Srila Prabhupada. And they were all very close. And also one other brahmachari there was Hari Charan, who was a young teenager at the time. Hari Charan and Govinda Maharaj, the same age as my father, both all born at the same time. I'm Madhu Mongol also. And Hari Charan used to do errands for Srila Guru Maharaj long before he was a disciple of him, and he'd do errands for Srila Prabhupada and Govinda Maharaj also, and they used to take Govinda Maharaj preaching with them. And sometimes they would do an introduction, and then Govinda Maharaj would be asked to preach, and people are thinking, why is he preaching when there's a sannyasi here? But his word was very similar, and they all appreciated it. I think we learnt a lot just by being in the presence of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. We understood what is Vaishnava etiquette, and Vaishnava etiquette is how you treat everybody. It's not how you treat Vaishnavas. It's not how you interact with Vaishnavas. It's how you interact with everybody and everything. I saw him. If somebody made a mistake, he would correct them, and he would do it in a way that was beneficial for them. If somebody printed something that was wrong, he would arrange for them to print a retraction of what they've done, to teach them humility and the proper way of behaving. I think we learnt a lot. We're still learning a lot, really. Again, through Guru Maharaj's immersion and fascination with Srila Sridhar Maharaj is giving us new life, new opportunity to take on the words of Srila Sridhar Maharaj and to understand them. And I would ask all of you to please study Srila Sridhar Maharaj's writings. So watch the video clips on YouTube. It will only increase your devotion. It will only increase your love for Mahaprabhu. And this Sangha will grow. This Sangha will grow. This is another seed, somehow or other planted by Mahaprabhu from 500 and odd years ago. He's not finished planting his seeds. They're being planted all over the world. And if we study the life of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, study Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, and give great gratitude to all the branches of the Gaudiya Math, and ISKCON also, and all the acharyas that have gone before, we will get their blessings also. Their blessings are still flowing. But this is not a static process. It's not a linear thing. Guru Maharaj said nothing is linear about this. Life is here, a point on a line on a plane in space. It's more than that. It's something that diffuses in every direction. So I got lots of stories about this place, but I'm not going to take up your time. But individually, I can share with you. And there's nothing I love better than talking about Srila Sridhar Maharaj. It's my joy. I'm so jealous of you guys living here, I lived here for some time.
Okay, so this is one of my heart homes in my life, because I met Srila Sridhar Maharaj here in 1981, and it was by the grace of the GBC on ISKCON that sent my husband and I here. And some of you know the story, but actually it was, my husband was sannyas, he had a hard time. I went back with him to try and help him, and we went to live in Badrinath and Puri. And Bhakti Charu Maharaj found us and said, come to see Srila Sridhar Maharaj for some counsel. So we were brought here to the feet of a saint by the grace of Srila Prabhupada, who had gone. This was 1981. So Prabhupada had gone 4 years. Prabhupada left in 77. So we were just all kind of trying to find our way after Srila Prabhupada left. And my husband came, and Sridhar Maharaj said, "No, I won't speak to you until your wife is here." So we were at Albert Road where we were, and we came, and we sat by that chair there. And there's a picture, actually, I found on the website here of myself, my son, and my husband sitting by that chair. And that was the last picture of my husband, me together. Because Guru Maharaj, he said that he will help us because he loved Srila Prabhupada. And he said that he would give us counsel because Srila Prabhupada was a dear friend of his. And also he said that my Guru Maharaj asked me to go to the West as well. And he said I didn't have the intonation, I couldn't understand the language, and it wasn't my nature. He said, but by the grace of Srila, he called him Swami Maharaj, he called Prabhupada. He said, by the grace of Swami Maharaj, you have come here. So I get to fulfill the order of my Guru Maharaj. And he said, and I will help. And so my husband went away, and I sat there by Guru Maharaj's by his seat, and he told me, so, did you come for a husband? I said, no. Well, what did you come to Krishna for? And I said, love of God. And then he said, so? He said, because your husband is a sannyas and has disciples, it is best that he continues as a sannyasi. And then he said, because, he said, the credibility of the Sampradaya was on my shoulders to actually follow the way, the sattvic way. And I remember sitting there, August 1981, and saying, I just want to serve God, just want to serve Krishna. And he said, I will look after you. You're like my daughter. Radically personal, everyone. And he said that he sent my husband to Katwa to take his sannyas vesh back again. And he actually journeyed with me on behalf of Srila Prabhupada, who wasn't here. He journeyed with me. He answered every letter. He showed his love and affection. In 1982, Jayatira left the movement and walked across the river because the GBC said that if he continued his relationship with Sridhar Maharaj, he was out. And I was in Mayapur, so I was immediately sent back. But I was promised I could come in 82. So Kartik 82, I went and took permission from Jayapataka Maharaj. I said, I really want to go and offer my respects. And there was one Jayatira disciple here, so I had to rescue her. And I came, and I was sitting at the gate with my bags. And Sridhar Maharaj looked out the window. And he saw, and he said, bring her up. And I came with a big box, a bag of ghee and figs and cashews and all things that I had taken from Chaitanya College as an offering, and socks and all kinds of stuff. And he was sitting there then at that chair. There were only one chair. I bowed my head. And he put his hand on my head. It went like this, like I was 2 years old. And then he looked at everything. Oh, very fine, he said. And he'd look at everything. And it was just like a loving father, just accepting us and accepting our gifts. And I have some pictures that I took of him sitting there. And I said, Guru Maharaj, can I take a picture of him? And he stood up with his stick. He stood up with his stick, and he said, He smiled. So that is the intimacy of this place for me. We would sit, I'd spend, Toppin and I would come often, we'd spend like 2 months a year here. We'd get little breaks, and we'd have, and we'd be washing the floor and washing his clothes and helping cook his offering. And it was just such a precious time. And then we would come in the morning and sit with him. And then in the afternoon, we would sit, I think it was afternoon, I can't remember. We would sit by his bench at the back and hear Harikatha. And he would share everything that Srila Prabhupada had taught us, but he would share it with a new twist, with another depth of awareness. And there's so many, before I came here, I was sitting, one day I was speaking with Guru Maharaj, and he said, so, I was still in ISKCON, and I was in between, I didn't know where I belonged, and he told me, I said I was on the fence, and he said, there's no fence, you can't be on the fence. He says you have to go where you feel the current. You have to go where you feel the pull, where Mahaprabhu is bringing you. And I came to his feet. And at his feet, I received so much love, so much wisdom, and so much service. And I'm here today. I'm so happy that Maharaj has brought us all here, because this is a place in the Gaudiya family that has a sweetness and has an entrance. And it has, Srila Sridhar Maharaj was so humble. He never asked for anything. And I've told Maharaj this story, but there's one really beautiful story. And this shows another personal aspect of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. We used to wash this area. It was red, but it wasn't nice red like it is now. The color would come off. And I was a white-clad lady, so I'd put an old ragged sari on to come up here to wash the floor. And one day I washed really, because he was in there, and you had to kind of get your timing. So I was washing the floor. And he came out of his room. Off my basis, he stood up. And then he just looked. He said, thank you, Hare Krishna, and then I took away. And the next day, a sari appeared at my door, and with the message from the servant, from Guru Maharaj, I have taken care of you. Your husband is sannyas. I'm looking after you on behalf of your Guru Maharaj, Srila Swamiji, he said, and I don't want you in rags. Because I put a rag on to wash the floor. But he was so personal, he witnessed it, didn't say anything. I sent a sari. That is love. That is care. And that is the gift that I share with you today. That keeps me 50-odd years on. Keeps me going, because I know that actually at the heart of Mahaprabhu's path, at the heart of what we are all trying to achieve, is that connection with the divine. And that divine connection comes through relationship, through personal relationship, through loving exchanges. And those loving exchanges are what propels us to go deeper in our practice and to share it by being it, by trying to embody what we've received without ego, without ownership, but it's a gift that we've been given. And by the grace of the Mahatmas, we are blessed. And this place, as we learn, these places are thin places. They're places where where our prayers can be answered, and where we can actually feel the presence of divinity. These places are places where we can ask from the bottom of our hearts for service, for help, for encouragement, because Guru Maharaj, when we always had a question and we wanted to make a decision about something, Guru Maharaj says, pray to Lord Chaitanya and wait. That was his message. So I just share with you that praying to Lord Chaitanya and waiting, and all will be revealed. We don't have to rush about, we just have to be present with a kind, open heart, with humility and gratitude, and being prayerful. Ask Lord Chaitanya and wait. So I share that with you from my heart, and I thank you, Maharaj, for bringing us here, and for carrying on, as Gortran said, the work that Guru Maharaj and the whole Gaudiya Vedanta, the whole Gaudiya family, we're in the Bhakti Vinod Parivar. We're in the family of Srila Bhakti Vinod, and we're very, very fortunate to actually have this grace in our lives, and we have an invitation, to take it deeper and to actually, because Guru Maharaj is in the Samadhi, but Guru Maharaj is present if we have the will to actually, and the prayer to actually call him closer. It's not something out there, it's something present and something accessible for all of us. So I thank you. All glories to Srila Guru Maharaj, all glories to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and all glories to all of you, to Maharaj and all of you for being.
My loving pronouns to all of you, good hearts, most welcome. All of you are more than welcome in our home, sweet home. In the language of Guru Maharaj. Needless to mention further, I am so very happy. So very happy, so glad. Near and dear family members, actually eternal family members, nature of our relationship, that of eternal character. That makes the great difference between nature of mundane relations, mortal relations, and the nature of eternal relationship in relation to Mahaprabhu, Radha, Krishna, our Jiva. Most welcome. So, I have a natural feeling, not just saying it in a formal way, natural feeling, some sweet will of Srila Guru Maharaj playing at the background to bring you all over here, as if he was also wanting to see his own near and dear family members over here. So sweet will of Srila Guru Maharaj, our Guru Varga playing at the background. Because spiritual meetings, our spiritual devotional meetings, not ordinary things. It's unlike some mundane arrangements. It has some connection. It has got some higher connections, higher wills, directed by some higher wills. That's how we view it. Many things are happening in our life, in our day-to-day life on this mundane plane, but when something special spiritual, our spiritual get-together, our spiritually loving get-together happening in relation to the divine, supreme divine, our Guru Varga, it should be considered something special. Something special. And we should honor it, honor such moments, honor such time and moments in a special way. Respect it. That's how our spiritual realization beyond just casual, mundane happenings. casually mundane happening, beyond it. We honor it. So again, this is one of your home, sweet homes. There are other sweet homes, but one of your most sweet homes. Guru Maharaj announced, declared, he so happily said about that many times, our home, sweet home. Srila Bhakti Thakur said, Jedino grihe bhajano dekhi, grihete goloko bhai. So wherever we see, in any special place, we see the special connection of the bhajana, of the Mahaprabhu divine couple. We must know there is some mystical reflection, appearance of Goloka consciousness over there. We have to feel into it in spiritual ways, going beyond our casual, mundane ways. We need to be open up and feel into that reality in mystical, higher spiritual ways. So this is one of the bhajana places. Representation, subtle representation, invisible, subtle representation of Goloka, Bhava, is here. Also, this is one of such centers. One of such centers. We not only just believe it in it, we feel. Gaur Hari Ho. This is such place, nectar of Hari Katha, nectar of Radha Krishna Katha, Gaura Katha, Srila Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Katha, nectar of Ishtagashti, between among all our stalwart Guru Varga, stalwart, our great Guru Varga, glorious disciples of Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, manifested here. This is the place of nectar in Krishna Katha, Hari Katha, nectar in Ishtagashti, between among the pure devotees, exalted pure devotees, beloved, devoted lovers of Mahaprabhu and the divine couple. This is the place where they are gatherings time to time, very alive. So much sweet memories, nectarine memories are alive in our life. You all have that taste. You all have that taste. I'm getting emotional. It is heart's business. Guru Maharaj said it's heart's business, not any formal business. Heart's business. Still, so many nectarine memories alive in me. Guru Maharaj, Srila Swami Prabhupada sitting together, right over here. 6 to 7 times I have been the heart witness of that divine darshan. Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Swami Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Nandan, Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Nandan Swami, Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Avinchan Krishna Das Babaji Maharaj, Srila Jajavar Goswami Maharaj, Madhusudan Goswami Maharaj, and many more. Sitting over here, over that place, mostly over here, inside Guru Maharaj's Bhajan Kutir, used to be gathering of all these pure devotees, beloved friends of each other. Over here, inside Guru Maharaj's Bhajan Kutir, so all such great memories are still alive. They are immortal. By nature, they are all immortal memories, beyond mortality. We felt at that time, we are still feeling. It's continuing, and we will be feeling. It will be continued immortally. That's the character, that's the nature in transcendence. So we don't just remember like a history, kind of ordinary history. Much more than that. Past, present, future all come together beyond its limit. While we engage in Krishna Katha, Radha Krishna Katha, Mahaprabhu Katha, while we engage in remembering about them, about our Guru Varga, because it's high spiritual topics of transcendental nature, so there is no boundary, no limitations by the boundaries of past, present and future. They all come together. Even what we can be feeling in future, we can still have feelings right now, at the presence. Past, present and future all get connected. One infinite being of time flow. Our Lord is also time. Time is another form of Krishna. Included in universal conception, absolute universal conception of God, Supreme Lord Krishna, also found in time. Concept of the time also included in one of his aspects. This morning I was spontaneously remembering certain verses. Srila Guru Maharaj and other Guru Varga would be gathering with Guru Maharaj, get together. Just as spontaneously remembering this morning, thinking about you all, you would be coming, and just spontaneously some verses appeared. But they relished so much. Tesang satatajukkānaṁ bhajatāṁ prītipurvakam dadāmi buddhi yogam tam jeno mam upajanti te. Guru Maharaj's special explanation. Tesamevānukampartham mahamajñānajaṅtamah nāṣayam ātmabhāvastu jnanadīpena bhāsvata. From all Bhagavad Gita. Vichesuduracharu bhajati mamanannabha sadhuriva samantappa sammabhavasito visa kshiprang bhavati dharmatma sassachanti nigacchati kaunteya pratijani hinami bhakta pranashriti macchittamad gata prana bodhayanta paraswaram kathayantasya māmityam dushanti cha ramanti cha. Actually, they had that experience. While they were having divine get-together, beloved get-together, they were having live experience of the meanings of such verses, as if the meanings of, not as if, the very meanings of the verses, essential meanings of such verses became alive. Through their releasing, we could see in their faces are flushing, colors coming in their faces. Some joy, divine joy, as if flushing. Okay? On their faces, on the face of Srila Guru Maharaj, some Prabhupada, other Guru Varga, their face getting brightened up by some divine feelings of joy, while they were absorbed in releasing the meanings of such verses. Okay, they became alive. Meanings of the verses manifesting through their releasing of the bhava, the verses manifesting. And I had the immense fortune, immense fortune to be receiving a glimpse of that nectar, being in the association, being in that divine association through their Ishtagoshti. None of my words here has any exaggeration. It's true to the letter. Very realistic, whatever I'm describing. It's the combination of divinely objective as well as subjective realizations. Objective and subjective feelings, realization got unified in what I am saying. My relative ways of the feelings as well as absolute, in connection with the absolute world of the feelings and relics coming together through Achinta Bheda Veda. Achinta Bheda Veda principles. Simultaneously one and distinct. And something finally inconceivable. We can only conceive about, we can only comprehend about to some extent according to our adhikara. But there is still much more in beyond to the endlessness. But to whatever extent we can comprehend, we can conceive, that is so wonderful. That becomes so wonderful, so nectarine experience, transcendental experience, even a glimpse of that ambrosially absolute infinite. The infinite, in the language of Guru Maharaj, the infinite of the character of absolute good. The infinite, the absolute good. The absolute good character. The infinite of Satchit Anandam character. Unlimited. Satchit Anandam character. Satchit Anandam character to the limitlessness. The Sarupa, the conception that of Akhila Rasamrita Murti. Ananta, Kalyana Guna Khani, Bhajaniya Guna Vishishta. See, if I go into the explaining, if you start going into explanations of all this, what I'm saying in Sanskrit, it will take hours. Still it will not be ended. No matter how much I explain about, we release about, still so much more remains. The Mahaprabhu said, finally it is inconceivable. It is conceivable to some extent. But from the absolute stand, absolute platform, stand, our limitation of language is neither stand or not a platform, not a way. Somehow we have to speak. So from the absolute conception, it is inconceivable. But from the relative conception, it is conceivable to some extent. Relatively conceivable, but because its holistic nature is of infinite character, so it ever remains inconceivable from the absolute conception. Therefore Mahaprabhu said inconceivable in that sense. But if each and every point of that is, everything is inconceivable, then what we are going to conceive? What are we going to understand or taste? So we have to understand in a harmonious way. When Mahaprabhu said inconceivable, it's from the absolute state. But still, even the point of the realization that ambrosial infinite, no matter how much conceived by us, still, even that also remains not completely conceived. Never completely conceived. Still, that also remains as inconceivable. from the absolute sense, even a point, then what to speak of? Because discussing the other day with Maharaja, paradoxical concept. Because of the limitations of human intelligence, many things become like paradoxical, appear. Many things of the higher spiritual world, many aspects of the higher divine world, transcendental divine world, actually appear to be paradoxical because of our limitations, because the way our thought process is organized, the way thought process flows, it's all in relative ways. Certain image, conceptualization, conceptual ways, okay, certain conceptual ways through our feelings or images in our mind, our intelligence, or even objectively and subjectively, we cannot understand, think or feel of anything without relative ways, okay, relative conceptual ways. But when we are speaking about the realization of the absolute, infinite absolute, it cannot be understood really completely in a relative sense. Relative means relative. We can only see one angle, can relate to one angle of the beauty at a time. The absolute. We cannot look at from all angles at the same time. That is only possible on the absolute plane. The absolute power and capability. Okay. But as long as we are living on the relative plane of understanding things, relative planes of understanding, judging things, feeling or realizing about. So everything is realized more or less in a more relative way, limited way. Even that relative limited ways of some even fraction of the realization of the Supreme Absolute Ambrosial Good, Supreme God, all some infinite character. Even that seems to be paradoxical. It's not. It becomes paradoxical because of our limited ways of the conceptualizations. But while we can get situated in the infinite and relate to that character being situated in the infinite, empowered by the gracious power of the grace of infinite, then it will no more be understood as paradoxical. It is no more paradoxical. It makes a total sense. Okay? It brings a total realization, again, relatively absolute way. We cannot have realized an absolutely absolute way. That's impossible. Relatively absolute. I have to use such terms. Paradoxical term, kind of. Apparently self-contradictory term, relatively absolute. Like the terms we use, bigger than the biggest, smaller than the smallest. Anoroniyan mahato mahiya. One of the characteristics of the infinite divine is he, see, it manifests in the way anoroniyan, as smaller than the smallest. Even in the Holy Scriptures, apparently made some self-contradictory ways, poetic ways, in order to make us understand. It's so wonderful to understand. It's not self-contradictory, but there is no other ways of expressing about this because our language is so limited. Human ways of expression, process of thinking so limited, so relative. We have to use some mystical poetical ways of describing. So, those realized souls, great rishis, pure devotees described Anoroniyan. Anoroniya. Smaller than the smallest. There is no other way to translate. Smaller than this. He, that absolute He, see, manifest in a way smaller than the smallest, in the way bigger than the biggest. And this is the reality, absolute reality, although it is hard, like self-contradictory or paradoxical. This is the real reality. Beyond limited concept of the reality. Because it is beyond limited conception of reality, therefore it's a real reality. Then Mahato, Mahiya, opposite way, bigger than the biggest. See, even we, today scientists understand, there are billions of galaxies. Some say maybe trillions, it's not yet discovered. Galaxies. This earth, this universe, what we can see through looking at the cloudless sky in the night time, looking at the cloudless sky, it's just a small, very, very small part. Even of one galaxy, there are billions of galaxies. So, some say 200 billions. Some say even more, it's not yet discovered. Can you imagine? Light started traveling. It did not reach yet. Light from a very, 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 very distant planet started traveling. It could not reach yet. And what is the light speed? 186 miles per second. Okay. 186,000 miles per second. And that light started traveling. It did not reach yet. Can you imagine how much distance? Then what to speak more of the infinite? Realizing about the infinite. I am branching out. So I started chanting those verses. Let me go back to those points. More verses such as, I said about it, Matchitta Madgata Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam Kathayantascha Mang Nittam Tushtanti Cha Ramanti Cha. Also, Shatang Prasangan Mama Birja Sangdido Bhavanti Hrit Karna Rasaya Natkata Tajjosanada Shapavarga Bhatmani Saddharatir Bhakti Ranukramishati Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibhiritam Kalmasapaham Savana Mangalam Srimadatatam Bhuvignanti Te Bhurida Janam Sinnatang Sakatha Krishna Punnasravana Kirtana Hiddantastu Jabhatram Vidhunoti Suhit Satam Viddate Hridaya Kranti Chiddante Sarva Samsaya Kshiyanti Chashakarma Mai Dishte Akhirat Mani Mai Dishte Paradare. Ahuschate Nalinanava Padarabindam Yogeshwarai Hridi Vichintam Agavadu Samsara Kupa Patito Taranavalandam Samsara Kupa Patito Taranavalandam Geham Dushamati Manashriyatshana. There are they are doing it their normal way. শান্তি দেয় যে মাইকটা কমিয়ে দাও, ইন্টেন্সিটা কমিয়ে দাও, আগে যতটা কমিয়ে দাও, কেউ কিছু বলবে না, স্পেশাল হয়তো ঠিক মতো পারে না, কেন সব মাইক। So back to the point, we have no time to get into the world of ambrosial explanation, the taste of all these verses. Each and every verse will take at least 1 hour time. If I have to explain in a proper way, flowery way, relatively full-fledged manner, each and every verse will take, explanation of each and every verse will take at least 1 hour, even more than that. So which one I should pick up with for explanation? You can choose. I have spoken many verses tested by Guru Maharaj. Another verse was there, Takti Nukampam Susamikshamana Bhunjano Evatma Pitama Dubha Vidvagavapu Virvidadhan Namaste Jive Tojo Bhakti Pade Sadara. I remember one verse Guru Maharaj used to relish a lot, time to time, in a secluded way. From Prapanna Jivanamritam, Sri Srimat Bhagavat Padambuja Madhut Sabui Shatpadai, Nikkhitta Madhubinda Buddhischa, Nikkhitta Madhubinda Vascha Karito, Bhasta Mukhad Gundikai, Jatnai Kinchid Viharitam, Nijapadasreyo Thina Tanmaya, Bhuyo Bhuyo Itarajam Sipadasam Lagnani Tesam Bhaji. This is one of the few conclusive verses of Prapanna Jivanamritam. Guru Maharaj gladly declaring, herein, through this Prapanna Jivanamrita, through this life nectar of the surrendered souls, through this book, what Guru Maharaj wanted to explain in this way, life nectar of the surrendered souls, Prapanna Jivanamritam. So, Prapanna Jivanamritam, the immortal ambrosia, the nectar, or the nectarine ambrosial treasure of immortal nature, which makes all the surrendered souls that of immortal nature, which transforms all the pure surrendered souls, lovingly surrendered souls, immortal nature of ambrosial nature. I explain Prapanna Jivanamrita another way. So in one of the conclusive verses, Guru Maharaj just gladly, very happily, joyfully declaring, herein I have collected only few or some drops of the nectars, some nectar drops which fell in my life realization, in the field of my own life realization, from the lotus lips of humble bee-like, honey bee-like Guru Varga. Our honey bee Guru Varga, when they collected great nectars from the divine flowers, that of 100 petals, 1,000 petals, lotus, the flowers of the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu, divine couple, what our bee-like, honey bee-like, or honey bee Guru Varga collected, and they are carrying inside their mouth, and while they are flying in joy, some few drops fell down, and I collected. I collected them, fell in my lap, in my, container, in my container of the heart. I was eternally hankering. I was so thirsty, with great thirst, I was so hankering for that nectar. And by some divine mercy, mercy of my Guru Varga, while they were flying with joy, holding the nectars of Mahaprabhu and divine couple, Radha Govinda. So what happens in the mode of that ecstatic flying in joy to the spiritual sky, some drops of that nectar fell in my container from their mouths, lotus lips. And I collected, not all drops, some drops. Herein I had just collected some of those drops in the form of this book, Prabhanda Jivanamritam, for the relishes of the like-minded, qualified devotees. Just very poetically, scientific way, poetically subjective, divinely subjective way, subjectively beautiful way, subjectively beautiful ways. Sometimes I am in want of many more appropriate words to truly explain about. Sometimes I don't find the appropriate words to truly explain about what I want to explain. But somehow or other, I manage. Wonderfully, beautifully, divinely subjective ways. Just spontaneously I explain about it. Still, there's much more to explain about this touch. To give you some relish taste of Guru Maharaj's ways, beautiful, poetically subjective way, divinely subjective way of relishing and describing the way he described it. Now, which one of the verses should I?
Matsita Matata Pranabhagana.
Beautiful, wonderful. I was also thinking of the same verse. We are now attuned. We are now in tune with the same feeling.
She suggested the same verse, and I was thinking the same verse.
That's what happened. The very meaning, the nectarine meaning of that verse actually appeared in the subjective form of the relish between Guru Maharaj, Srila Swami Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, Bhakti Darita Madhav Goswami Maharaj, and many more. Because that verse were discussed many times, not one time. It is one of the common verses, relished many times, still they could not end. Still there was no end. They repeated and repeated, still it was not repetition. Still they never felt it was repetition, because endless relish. There's endless flow of relish from the same verse. Even though they repeatedly, on many occasions repeatedly relished about this verse. Still never enough. Still it never became enough to them. Such was the character. Macchitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nittam tushanti cha ramanti cha. And that's what happened. I witnessed, heart witnessed. The meaning of such verse appeared with form of the mood, form of the relish within our Guru Bhagavad. They were having some relish of the meaning to teacher. Those are our Guru Varga through the Ishta Goshti. Our Guru Varga, Guru Maharaj and other Guru Varga, while they were engaged in such Ishta Goshti, they were having such feelings and relics of Krishna teacher, Raman teacher. They felt so happy, so joyful, so, how to say, so ecstatic, so blissful, in order to be explaining and relishing the meanings of such verse for a long, long time. In a reciprocative way. Sometimes Guru Maharaj would be speaking to Srila Swami Prabhupada, he would be hearing. And then other time it was his turn, he would be speaking back. In reciprocation, he would be commenting on Guru Maharaj's explanation and Guru Maharaj would be releasing. And similar way with other Guru Varga, between Guru Maharaj and other Guru Varga. So it was the release of the meanings, the release of the ambrosial meanings of such verse was being released in a reciprocative manner, reciprocative way, through exchanges. Nadati pratidhinati gujyam akhati pichhati bhunte bhojati chaiva sadhidam pritilakshanam. So we found that Tadati pratidhinati manifestation in some form there. As if they are revealing each other's mind and heart around the realization of the ambrosial meanings of such verse and sharing with each other. So they are relishing the meaning of the verse was in reciprocative, sharing ways. Purely. Therefore it was a live Ishtagoshti of divine character. So, both the God brothers are relishing meanings of this verse. Machitta matagata prana shai bodhayanta paraspara. When my pure devotees, my devoted lovers engage in offering, be engaging in offering, dedicating, devoting all their hearts and soul, all their loving devotion unto me, machitta. When they become me-hearted, I'm saying, when they machitta means when they become me-hearted, wholeheartedly occupied by me, big me, machitta, when their heart become completely occupied only by me, my ambrosial consciousness, divine ambrosial consciousness, my ambrosial mood, love mood, ecstatically love mood, machitta, their heart and my identity becomes unified. They are united together in unison, absolute, kind of absolute unison, harmony. That is machitta. Madhugata prana. Again the same reality being explained in a different word. Machitta, madhugata prana. Their life and soul becomes completely mixed with me, completely absorbed within my life, my identity. And then my identity, myself also becomes completely united with their heart and soul, with those devotees' heart and soul, whole existence. That is Madhgata Prana. Means their life and soul becomes overwhelmingly completely filled with my existence, my presence. Madgata prana. There, at that, in other words, at that point, at that state, my pure devotees, body, mind, soul, their whole existence, body, mind, heart, soul, their whole existence becomes filled with my ambrosial presence, my ambrosial release. Okay. And through that, I also become them. I also cannot maintain a separate entity. During that time, I become also one with that quality of pure devotees. Because ultimately, also one of my realities, identities, I am Advaya Jnana Tattva. So, as if I also become one with them through love union, through irresistible, through the feelings, irresistible feelings of irresistible attraction of becoming united with my beloved devotees, having a love union with them. It becomes, I also become their heart and soul. As if their mind, heart, soul becomes completely absorbed with me, united with me, and my heart and existence becomes one with them, united with them. That is Madgata Prana. Meaning should be understood from both directions. Not only from the devotee's direction that they are becoming united in irresistible love feelings, those pure devotees can no more remain separate from their beloved Lord. So, this is the concept of the most positive loving union, opposed to Mayavadi type of union. Opposed to Mayavadi type of impersonal union, this is just opposite of character. Through irresistible love feelings, through irresistible love attraction towards their beloved, the Lord and devotee can no more maintain a separate existence. Na so ramano na hamo ramani. Duhu mano bhavo pe salajani. Rai Ramananda Sangvad in the conclusive way. Becoming one. That is the positive conception, most positive conception, real concept of Advaya Jnana, Brajendra Nandana, Krishna Chandra. Just opposed to the impersonal, Mayavadi correct kind of the union or non-dual. So, non-dual character. So, back to the point. Machitta madgata prana. So not only the devoted lovers, not only those pure devotees, out of their intense loving devotion, can no more remain separate. They absorb with their body, mind, spirit, heart, soul, everything. They completely embrace, absorb Krishna Katha, relish of Radha, Krishna Mahaprabhu. They are nectar of their divine glories, narration of their glories, absorb so much so as if they have their supreme beloved one, completely united with them. Their heart, whole existence are fully occupied, but only by the supreme beloved. Nectar of the Supreme Beloved, Madgata Prana. And vice versa, from the other side, it's also similar situation of the Supreme Lord, Supreme Beloved Lord. At that time, Tomar Hridaya Sada Govinda Visram. At that time, it is very difficult for the Supreme Beloved Lord also to stay separate. through Achinta Bheda Vedo, although he is maintaining a separate identity as Supreme Absolute Lord, but at the same time, very mystically, mysteriously, transcendental way, at the same time, through Vibhuti Yoga, through his mysterious power, Supreme Lord becomes so much attracted, irresistibly attracted by the power of loving devotion, the relish of the pure devotees who are engaged now, who are engaged in relishing the nectar of his katha, his glories. So irresistibly attracted, he cannot stay separate. He also directly wants to enter their heart and fully occupy and swimming in the nectar ocean, infinitely nectar ocean of the ambrosial relish of those devotees all over. And so Supreme Lord also becomes one with their existence from both sides. It's relational, very much relational. And a relationship, divine relationship cannot flow only one-sided way. It always flows dynamically, divinely reciprocative ways, to the endlessness, to the endless characters and innumerable characteristics, to the endlessness. Matgata prana, then bodhayanta parasparam. Now again, function of divine Ishtagoshti coming, dadati pratigrihina, bodhayanta parasparam. Bodhayanta means that only two or several pure devoted lovers now absorbed, engaged in relishing the nectar of my topics to the endlessness. Now they cannot but be sharing with each other. And through the sharing process of their own relishing between each other, among each other, that relish actually increases further to different dimensions of ambrosia, to different dimensions of nectar and character. That relish also through the just as when the flower nectar, Guru Maharaj also explained with this beautiful example, when the flower nectar is collected by honeybee and then it eats, it drinks, then when it comes up again, then it becomes honey. And in addition, additional taste is there, becomes honey. Similarly, it's a limited example, limited analogy, but our Guru Varga gave in order to give us some idea towards. Not the full concept, it's impossible, just some idea towards. So, when these pure devoted lovers are relishing the same nectar of Krishna Katha, nectar of Mahaprabhu, Gaura Katha, Radha Krishna Katha, and after relishing, when they are sharing with each other, it becomes even more relishable. Being used by the effect of their own relish of that Krishna Katha, as if the beauty and ambrosial taste of the glories of that Krishna Katha is even increasing more, developing more, coming in touch with the relish of Krishna's or Radha Krishna Mahaprabhu's devoted lovers. Additional way. The taste is added. So here is coming bodhayanta parasparam. What they are relishing by their own self, now sharing with each other. Like Krishna's shakhas, Priyanorma shakhas. Himself relishing, they themselves relishing. Oh, so tasty. Oh, my beloved friend, it is so tasty. Putting in his mouth. And Krishna is relishing that more rather than he himself directly taking it in his mouth. Here is the hidden truth. This is the hidden reality, behind punaschar vitachar banana. It gives never-ending taste. Never-ending taste is manifesting from those repeated chewing and tasting. Still no end. Still no end. So, in many places, the concept of repetitions simply becomes irrelevant in the world of our divine releases, in the world of our divinely, infinitely ambrosial releases about the Supreme Lord, beautiful Lord. The repetition, the casual concept of the limited concept of repetition just becomes irrelevant because of the getting endless taste. So, bodhayanta parasparam. No. Like Priyanorma Shakhas of Krishna, Baladeva, now they are feeding each other. They are putting nectar. The way they release, putting that same nectar, now combined with their own nectarian release of the same, now putting in the mouth of each other and releasing further. That is bodhayanta. Bodhayanta parasparam. No more. It's no more one side. No more. Only it is coming from the side of the Lord and flowing to them. Now the same becoming released through their lovingly relational ways between two pure devotees, devoted lovers among the pure devoted lovers. That is bodhayanta parasparam. And that's what we find. That's what we find through the description of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Chaitanya Bhagavatam. Oh, divinely mad descriptions of Radha Rasa Sudhanidhi, Sri Chaitanya Chandramritam. Devotees are hugging each other, cryingly hugging each other, rolling on the grounds, forgetting about who will say what, forgetting about the situation and environment, who will say what, who cares, who will say what, filled with ecstasy, they're hugging each other, cryingly hugging each other, rolling on the ground, looking at each other, exchanging their loving glance, Krishna Prema, Radha Krishna Prema, Gaura Prema glances, gestures and feelings, sharing their feelings between among each other during the divine Sankirtana happenings of Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we find such descriptions in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Chaitanya Bhagavad, and other places. And they are really reals. They are not just subjectively beautifully subjective poetic descriptions. It's not there, much beyond. It's really real. Practically real descriptions. There is no tinge of exaggerations. There's no tinge of poetic exaggerations over there. Because poetic beauty, subjectively poetic beauty and beauty of the realistic beauty, beauties of the release, beauties of the realizations of the heart, release of the hearts of the devotees, all became together, got unified together to unison, ambrosial unison. See? And through their whole body, mind, and soul, through their whole existence, what we find through the description, Ashtashatik Prema Vikaro being manifested. Shaking, crying profusely, shaking, sweating, even blood's coming up, surging up through the skin pole. Cannot speak properly, flushing with unending joy of Krishna Prema, cannot be holding, cannot be retaining their normal state of lifestyle anymore. Crying, laughing, behaving like a mad person. But they only know how fortunate they are, how fortunate it to have the qualification of that madness. It is a sign character of unending fortune. That's what Sarvabhauma Pandit described through that verse. Pari badatu janu jatha tathayam nanu mukharoyam na vicharayam hari rasamadira madati matta bhuvi biluthama natama nirbishama. Describing about that experience. Bodhayantah parasparam kathayantascha mam nittam. Now, the attraction in exchanging about the release of the glories of mind is so irresistible. In other words, they are the description of my nectarine glories by them and the releases they are deriving from such engagement of describing my nectarine glories. It is so releasable, it is so delicious, so releasable. They cannot take a break. Some divine problems, very positive divine problems come. They want to go on and on and on endlessly. They don't want to stop. Kathayantascha mam nittam. Nittam means in eternity. They want to be flowing in describing and releasing my glories into the eternity. That's what is their mood. Kathayantascha mam nittam. And then finally what results come? Tushanti cha ramanti cha. There Guru Maharaj gave special explanations in Bhagavad Gita. Srila Swami Prabhupada, Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, Bhakti Daita Madhav Goswami Maharaj, Bhakti Vichar Jajavar Goswami Maharaj, Bhakti Kamal Madhusudan Goswami Maharaj, and other Guru Varga. They swam, simply they are all swimming together in the infinite ocean of nectar and nectar. To Shanti, when Guru Maharaj was explaining there was hidden treasure. When Guru Maharaj began to explain that hidden ambrosial treasure from his own realization about the meanings of the Tushanticha Ramanticha in the Braja Bhava, Braja mood, pure Braja mood, Braja Prema. Everybody became overwhelmed, and I have been the heart witness of such divine scenes and divine manifestations. Whole credit, my heart witness is my qualification to become heart witness of such moments. Whole credit goes to their mercy. I am not taking any credit. It goes to their causeless mercy. To their meaningful and causeless, both ways, their mercy. So I put full credit, but the reality is this, that I was mercifully accepted in those moments. Tushanti cha ramanti cha. Guru Maharaj was explaining. In the first stage, the very first stage of that release was that their body, mind, heart and soul, those devotees, their body, mind, heart and soul. Question may come, why body coming? Because their body also becoming completely affected by that release. And when we have great joy in our mind, it definitely reflects throughout our bodily existence. We cannot avoid that. That's how the Ashtasattvik Vikara also comes on the bodily level, although it's completely transcendental. 8 kinds of divine symptoms of transcendental loving devotion. So they actually manifest from the level of soul and super soul. Then thereafter they are expanding. They expand expanding through the bodily level, manifesting through the bodily level. At that time, body, mind, soul, all are in unison, no more difference. They all become transcendentally united, one being. At that time, the material body is no more material body. Although in one aspect it can have some material functioning and aspect, but in a very mystical, transcendentally mystical, mysterious way, even the bodily level also gets transformed, becomes qualified by transcendental quality of love qualification of Krishna. Transcendentally qualified by the effect of divine love of Krishna, Radharani Krishna. At that time, like when electric current passes, wire is no more just ordinary wire. It becomes something else. Other times, ordinary wire, ordinary conduit kind of media. But when in connection with the power, it becomes something else. So, in those moments, even material body also gets mysteriously transformed, mysteriously, wonderfully, it gets transcendentally qualified, spiritually qualified with divine characteristics. When we find the manifestation of 8 kinds of symptoms, or any divine love symptoms, even manifesting through the body of the pure devotee, pure devotees, it happens in that way. So, Tushanti cha, in the first level, first state, their body, mind, heart, soul, whole existence start receiving great satisfaction, great happiness, satisfaction, contentment, most wonderful contentment, unprecedented content, although it is precedented, although they experienced about the same before, yet every time they receive the release of that, it is felt as if unprecedented, as if never experienced before, because there are some ever old, eternal characteristics, also ever new characteristics with that release. Both are together, ever old and ever new, now combining together and flowing harmoniously. Together, unitedly flowing. Chinta Bheda Bhed. Both are maintained at the same time, that of ever old character and that of ever new, ever fresh. Both are now together, flowing together unitedly, although it appears to be paradoxical, but it's not. It appears to be paradoxical because of our limitations of idea, our limitations of a thought process. But from the absolute state of the conception, it is quite natural. So, Tushanti cha. They begin to derive great satisfaction, contentment, happiness. And when thereafter it gets turned into Ramanticha, when those pure devoted lovers, now they go deeper and deeper into the ambrosial relish of Radha Krishna Katha, or they go higher to the highest level. Okay? They go, and not only they go, they are taken by the wave of that divine ambrosial taste, Krishna Katha, Radha Krishna Katha. They are taken deeper to the deepest level. They are also taken to highest level. When they experience such state of the relish, it becomes transformed into Ramanticha experience. Because ultimately they reach Madhurya Rasa level. Guru Maharaj was explaining. They start deriving the ambrosial taste of the Madhurya Rasam, in relation to Mahaprabhu and how Mahaprabhu realized it during his Antalila, ending portion of his lifetime, how he realized it through Vipralambha, mostly Vipralambha, Prema, Krishna Prema, completely absorbed in the mood, in the Vipralambha Prema of Radha Thakurani, how he realized. He also takes them to the Braja pastimes. Braja pastime, how it manifested between divine couple and their intimate beloved associates, Braja Gopis and Manjaris, Braja Gopis, Sakhis, Manjaris. So then, as those devoted lovers enter into the deepest level, they go higher to the highest level, enter into the highest level, or they are taken into by the special sweet will of Mahaprabhu divine couple. They are taken into the deepest level and the highest level of that ambrosial release. Then it becomes Ramantica experience. It becomes non-different from Ramantica experience, when the experience of the state of Tushanti becomes innumerably, endlessly multiplied, then it can touch that state of Ramantica. Our happiness, the conception of our happiness, our release, our ecstasy or bliss is reaching its highest degree, or deepest level. Then the character of such experience becomes Ramantica. That it has been described through the term Ramantica. So Guru Maharaj was very wonderfully, ecstatically, blissfully explaining about that even in Bhagavad Gita, there is Braja Prem. There is manifestation of Braja Bhava, Braja Prem, but in a hidden way, in a very mystically covered, hidden way. Only the qualified, devoted lovers can have access to that. Not for the ordinary, not meant for the common or ordinary general devotees. Can have access into the world of Ramantica, Tushantica and Ramantica, the final ambrosial goal of all our final fulfillment, final nectarine fulfillment of our life in relation to Mahaprabhu, Gaura Nitya Panchatattva Gaur Hari, and in relation to divine couple. Being graced, being empowered by the grace of our beloved Guru Varga. I can go on. It is prasadam time. So I humbly remain here.
Bhakti Nandan Swami Maharaja.
Padmanabha Swami Maharaja ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Jai. All glories to His divine grace, Srila Guru Maharaj ki jai. 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 All glories to Srila Swami Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to Guru Maharaj ki jai. All glories to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswat Goswami Thakur Prabhupada ki jai. Saparikar Srila Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.